Welcome to the fourth installment of the Eclipse series entitled The Art of Aging, exploring screening and preventive care for the elderly.
This is brought to you by the Department of Internal Medicine. We are your hosts today. I am Grace Santiago.
And I'm Aaron Molano.
Good morning.
Before we begin, may we request everyone to mute your microphones when not speaking. Be mindful of the background noise and distractions around you as much as possible. Should you have any questions, please reserve it until the end of the presentation so as not to interrupt the presenter. You may utilize your chat box, raise your hands by putting a brief note in the chat window, and we will have your questions included.
Panginoon, pinupuri at sinasamba ka namin. Salamat sa panibagong araw na ipinagkaloob mo. Salamat sa mga biyaya na patuloy mong binibigay. Salamat sa pagkakataong ito na kami ay muling matututo.
We're sorry for the technical difficulty. Just for a moment. Everyone,
mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, tewas ang silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisingil. Sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng pangaw, ay hinagang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na naghihingi. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidinig. Luman ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay ang langit sa piling mo. Ang hindi kaya na pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
To formally start our lecture series for today, it is my pleasure to welcome our Department Chair, Dr. Anne Margaret Ang.
Good day to everyone. On behalf of the Quirino Memorial Medical Center, Department of Internal Medicine, I would like to welcome you all to another EQUIP series through the efforts of the Professional Education and Training Office. In 2010, the Philippine Statistics Authority reported that there are around 6 million older Filipinos, and it was projected to double by year 2025. And as of 2020, the PSA census reported that there are already 9.22 million senior citizens in our country. The older adults are a unique segment of the population in a sense that aside from developing chronic conditions such as hypertension, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, they can also have problems that are not considered as part of the normal aging, such as cognitive impairment, dementia, and so on. There are also several considerations in the management of these patients, since most of them have several comorbid conditions. They have different goals, such as prioritizing the quality of life. To address their growing need, it is important as healthcare providers that we implement early screening to provide timely intervention and to have a better patient outcome. I hope at the end of the session, we will be more confident in taking care of the elderly Filipino patient. Thank you very much.
That was a wonderful message by Dr. Ang. And as we continuously aim to strengthen our service delivery network by equipping primary and secondary healthcare facilities, this year, the Quirino Memorial Medical Center launched a EQUIP series empowering healthcare workers through QMMC's Universal Healthcare Initiative program, optimizing the service delivery network. By last January, we tackled the topic on nosebleeds, causes, and first aids as hosted by the Department of ENT. On February, we have discussed about dermatology dialogues, equipping primary caregivers on contact dermatitis as hosted by the Department of Dermatology. And last March, we have discussed topics on off shakes and wakes, the basics of seizures and epilepsy as hosted by the Department of Neurology.
And Aaron, this month's discussion brought to you by our department, Department of Internal Medicine, will definitely empower us in caring for our elderly patients, creating a platform that will pave the way to a healthier and more satisfied aging individuals in our community.
Hashtag De Calidad na Serbisyo, hashtag Alagang QMMC.
Our speaker for today is a remarkable internist and geriatrician, a fellow of the Philippine College of Physicians. She is currently the secretary of the Philippine College of Geriatric Medicine, a member of the Philippine Society of Geriatrics and Gerontology. She graduated cum laude and most outstanding medical graduate of the UP College of Medicine class of 2015. She then took her residency in internal medicine at the UP PGH, fellowship in geriatric medicine at St. Luke's Medical Center, and fellowship in geriatric rehabilitation at the University Health Network of the University of Toronto, Canada. Fellow Kawani, let us all welcome Dr. Krisha May C. Borromeo.
Hi, everyone. A pleasant morning to all. I'd like to share my screen. Okay. So again, I'm Krisha Borromeo. I'm an internist geriatrician, and I'm pleased to be here on behalf of QMMC, Department of Medicine, to embark on hopefully a very informative lecture. So my topic for today is the art of aging, exploring screening and preventive care for older adults. So I have nothing to disclose. My objectives are the following. I want to apply a framework for individualized decision-making to preventive medical interventions among older adults. And I want to provide a comprehensive discussion about proactive healthcare strategies aimed at promoting wellness, maintaining independence, and preventing common health issues in the aging population. I'll be doing this by tackling 5 major buckets: cancer screening, asymptomatic chronic conditions, vaccinations, healthy behaviors, and lastly, dementia prevention. So please, if you have any questions, reserve them for the end of the talk. So before everything, I want everyone to kind of just try and answer the following. What will be the percent of the world population for adults over 60 years old by the year 2050? So that is 26 years from now. How many people in the world will be over 60 years old? I'll give everyone 5 seconds. And our cartoon Lolo and Lola are already giving us the answer. So the answer, if you guessed, 20%, that's correct. So in 26 years, 1 in 5 people in the world, so lumingin lang kayo sa kaliwat kanan, meron po tayong makikitang senior citizen in the world will be above the age of 60. So lots of people are telling us na, ano to, silver tsunami. No, parang sobrang dadami ng mga senior citizens in the whole world. The whole world is actually graying, and lots of people are deciding to not have children. So parang in effect, tumatanda na po yung buong mundo. So in 26 years, abangan. When we talk about prevention po, it's prudent to discuss what we need to prevent. So according to the Philippine Statistics Authority, from January to December of 2022, ischemic heart diseases is the leading cause, or was the leading cause, of death with around 114,000 cases, or 18.4% of the total deaths in the country. So neoplasms and cerebrovascular diseases, mga stroke, contributed 10.2% of deaths each. Tapos 4th and 5th are diabetes mellitus and hypertensive diseases. So mga non-communicable diseases have now become the leading cause of death. Yung mga NCDs na yan. So na-dethrone na po ang pneumonia, na-dethrone na rin po ang COVID-19 from the top 5. So if you can see, last 2021, yung COVID-19 virus, yan po yung red bar na nakikita ninyo, siya po ay yung number 3 cause of death. 2021 po yan, nung sumabog yung pandemya, at the year after sumabog yung pandemya. And then the next year, bigla na lang, shoot, lumiit siya. So thank you, vaccination. Thank you, people staying indoors. And thank you to government efforts to keep it under control. So living longer also means living longer with chronic diseases. Diba? So 80% of older adults will have at least 1 chronic illness, and 50% will have at least 2. So ang dami po nating tumatandang mga pasyente, mga magulang, mga kamag-anak na meron pong bit na mga sakit. Okay, so ano po yung geriatric syndrome? Kasi meron po tayong tinatawag na geriatric syndromes. Yung syndromes po, hindi po siya masasabi pong sakit dahil po sa isang dahilan lamang. So syndromes po kasi ay dahil sa samut-sari mga causes, marami po siyang mga dahilan kung bakit po nagpe-presenta yung older adult as such. So yung mga syndromes po sa geriatrics, tulad po ng cognitive impairment, frailty, paghuhulog, falls, sleep disorders, incontinence, na hindi na makontrol yung pag-ihi, tsaka yung pagdumi, pressure injuries or mga bed sores, syncope or dizziness, yung mga nahihimatay, are associated po with morbidity and increasing dependence on activities of daily living. So, itong mga geriatric syndromes na to, ito po yung bread and butter ng isang geriatrician tulad ko na nakikita ko araw-araw. So, itong syndromes, ano po siya? Hadlang po siya sa quality and quantity of life ng ating mga older Pinoys. So dapat we should prevent these syndromes before they happen to maximize yung QOL, quality of life. Okay, next question. Ang next question po ay, would you screen an older person with limited life expectancy for colon cancer? And why or why not? So I'll give everyone maybe 2 seconds na lang. So sige, nakabuo na po tayo ng sarili-sarili nating mga opinion. If you ask me, I would not. So the time to benefit po kasi is longer than the older person's life expectancy. And ito po yung gusto kong ipahayag sa lahat ng mga nakikinig ngayon na ano po ba itong time to benefit? Ano po ba itong life expectancy na tinatawag? Bakit kailangan sila i-balance or ibangga sa isa't isa? So magsisimula po tayo sa screening. No? What does it mean to do primary screening? So yung screening test, it is done to detect potential health disorders or diseases in people na wala pang mga sintomas ng disease. So basically, healthy person, gusto niyo pong i-prevent mga masasamang mangyari sa kanya, you screen primarily. So the goal is early detection and lifestyle change or surveillance to reduce the risk of disease or to detect it early enough to treat it most effectively. So meron po tayong algorithm for decisions on preventive medical interventions in the older person. So ito po ay lifted from Hazard's Principles of Geriatrics and Gerontology. Meron po tayong mga iniisip. So we have to estimate life expectancy. We determine time to benefit of the intervention. We determine harms versus the benefits. And then we also take into account yung values and preferences ng older person. And then parang pag sinagsama-sama po natin ito, we have a shared decision making on the intervention, balancing both life expectancy and time to benefit. So, iisa-isahin po natin. So, how do you estimate life expectancy? Okay. So, marami pong mga risk calculators online na available. Isa na po ito doon sa e-prognosis.org that you can type in your cellphone sa URL after this talk. Pero, ano po kasi, base po ito sa mga information na hindi po dulot sa Pilipinas. So, hindi po naging part po ng data ang Philippine older adult or Philippine adult population. Pero, maybe we can estimate, rough estimate na lang po. Sa WHO, last 2019, they did life tables by country. So, yung pagsabihin ng life table. Ang pagsabihin ng life table po is at this age group, yung pinaka-left hand na column ninyo, at this age group, kapag babae ka, ito yung life expectancy mo at this age. Kapag lalaki ka, ito yung life expectancy mo at this age. So for example, for a 60-year-old male, you expect na mga 15.8 or mga 16 years po yung parang life mo na lang. Ganyan. So, as you can see, pag tumatanda yung isang tao, mas lumilit yung number. And if you compare males sa females, lamado po mga females. So, females do generally tend to live longer. There are some interesting proposals as to why this is. So maybe because females just have a better parang social connectedness, mas alagain sila sa isa't isa versus males na mas risk-taking yung behavior nila. Pero that's a whole nother discussion. Suffice to say po na when you grow older, syempre, expectation po natin is lumiliit po yung years of meaningful life left. So, does anyone know what the life expectancy of an average Filipino is when they are born? Anyone hazard a guess? So, if you guess 71 years old, you would be correct. So, Filipinos have a life expectancy of 71 years. No? So, everyone born today, 71 years. So that is an increase of 15 years in the average lifespan compared to the 1960s. Biro mo, noong 1960s, mga nasa 50-something years old lang yung expectation, no? Pero ngayon, 71 years na. So with the improvement of the population's health, there's a need to ensure social security and health services for the elderly. Tama naman. Okay. Next. So kung titingnan po natin yung e-prognosis, I enjoin everyone po to please go to this website. Nasa baba, eprognosis.ucsf, so University of California, San Francisco po yung gumawa nito. And then you plug in your data, and then you see what is your life expectancy. That's always what I do pag may nakikita akong mga life expectancy, ganyan-ganyan. Parang ako, I plug my parents, I plug my mga kakilala, I plug myself. So, wala lang, interesting. So, ito po, kung pupuntahan po natin siya, ito po yung haharap sa inyo. What would you like to do? So, kung sasabihin ko po ay, prognostic calculator, please. Ayan. So, sasabihin niya, where is your patient? Sasabihin ko, living at home. Okay, click ko yan. Tack. Tapos, what is your outcome of, ang gusto mong outcome na makita? Sasabihin ko, mortality. Tapos, sasabihin niya, meron bang dementia yung pasyente mo? Sasabihin ko, parang wala naman. Tapos, nasa United States ba siya? Sasabihin ko, hindi. Nasa Pilipinas. So, lalabas po ito yung risk calculator. You plug it in. So, for example, for a 70 to 70-year-old female na otherwise quite healthy, walang diabetes, wala pong heart disease, lung disease, wala pong cancer, never po nag-smoke, hindi rin po siya nag-alcohol, medyo healthy naman po, may laman-laman, 18.5 to 25 po yung yung BMI, nag-engage in physical activity, wala naman pong difficulty in bathing or showering, or wala naman pong difficulty in walking several blocks to go to mass or to go to the palengke. Tapos meron naman pong parang aware naman po yung pasyente or yung person dun sa tamang petsa today. Tapos ano po yung self-reported health. Tapos kung sabihin po ng taong yun na 70 to 70-year-old female na otherwise healthy na good to excellent, I think I'm good in terms of yung reported health niya. Then we come to an all-cause 10-year mortality risk of 18%. So kung meron pong lumapit sa inyo, ano kaya yung risk ko na mamatay in 10 years? Sasabihin mo sa kanya, Lola, actually, kahit 70 years old ka, base po ito sa data, though magka-caveat ka, base po ito sa data ng mga information from longitudinal studies from Mexico, from United States, yan, from Europe. Base po sa mga datos na naipulot po doon, mga 18% in 10 years, right? Sige po. So yun po yung life expectancy. Okay? Next is step 2, to determine the time to benefit for a preventive intervention. So, yung mga researcher na mahilig po mag-research po sa atin, di ba may tinatanong tayo pag nag-iisip tayo ng research? We ask, does it help? Tapos meron po tayong mga p-value na tinatawag, yung mga 0.05 na yan, na is it significant? Does it help? Kasi yung tanong, di ba? Tapos, how much does it help? Tapos meron po tayong mga risk reduction formulas, absolute, relative risk reduction, mga ganyan. Pero hindi po natin masyadong tinatanong, kailan ba ito makakatulong sa akin? Yun yung time to benefit na sinasabi. So, yung time to benefit, it's the time between the intervention when harms are most likely to occur to the time when improved health outcomes are eventually seen. So, for example, for si Lolang 70 to 74-year-old kanina na plinag-in po natin doon sa calculator na yung life expectancy niya, mahaba-haba. In 10 years, 18% lang naman po yung risk of mortality or mamatay siya. So, kung nandito po tayo sa right side, yan po siya yung bar na yan na pababa. Makikita po natin na green po lahat. Pag sabihin po, may point pa ang mag-cancer screening, may point pa po magbigay ng mga bisphosphonates for osteoporosis, may point pa mag-glycemic control, perhaps, where kailangan kausapin si Lola. Tsaka may point pa magbigay ng mga cholesterol medications, blood pressure medications. Kasi nasa green pa po siya. Ibig sabihin, makikita pa po niya or buhay pa siya kapag ma-reap po niya yung mga benefits from those interventions. Pero, kung nandito na po siya sa may kaliwaan, so days, weeks, or 6 months to maybe even 1 to 2 years na lang po yung buhay ni Lola, then we can see na it doesn't make sense anymore for us to do cancer screening. Kasi most of the cancer screening, kailangan mga 10 years pa po yung buhay ni Lola or estimated life expectancy para po makabuti pa sa kanya. Okay. So next, we need to determine harms and benefits, and then eventually, pag sa usapan kasi, no, nung determining what they would want for themselves, yung patient's values and preferences come into play. So, kailangan po natin malaman yung life expectancy kapag much, much more than the time to benefit, tulad po ng healthy Lola kanina, patient is likely to benefit and prevention is recommended. However, kung baliktad naman po, kung life expectancy is much, much less than time to benefit, then patient is likely to be harmed and intervention is not anymore recommended. Sasabihin niya sa akin, bakit? Paano po kung nasa gitna? No, life expectancy medyo hindi siya clear, no, gray area equals to time to benefit. Then we do share decision-making, patient's preferences and values to drive our final decision. So, timbangan talaga siya. So what are the factors that increase likelihood to net benefit? Yung mahaba pong life pa in front of them, low number needed to screen. So ibig sabihin po, relatively easy, kukonti lang po yung tao na kailangan ninyong i-screen bago po may mag-benefit na isa. Low likelihood of finding clinically insignificant lesions, or low likelihood of complications. So, dapat safe yung cancer. Hindi man, relatively safe or relatively low yung side effects ng treatment. Tsaka low likelihood of adverse effects from additional testing. Likely to feel, ito marami kong beses na naririnig, peace of mind. Peace of mind. So, minsan po, that peace of mind is priceless. Minsan, hindi po nabibenta or hindi po nabibili. Yung other side naman po is what increases the likelihood of net harm. Kailan po natin sasabihin, oops, wait lang, preno muna tayo doon sa lahat ng screening at prevention na ginagawa natin. Kapag kukunti na lang po yung life expectancy, kailangan sobrang ubod ng dami ng tao na kailangan i-screen para lang mag-benefit yung isang tao. Meron po tayong high likelihood of finding insignificant lesions na hindi naman po ito talaga yung mamamatay siya from this, pero siguro para lang malaman natin, no? Para lang, just for the sake of finding out na meron po siyang ganon. Kung mataas po yung likelihood na may complications from the treatment, adverse effects, and kung likely to feel psychological distress. So kung very anxious, very worrywart yung taong yun, kung mag-screen tayo, baka kung ano-ano na po yung isipin niya kahit na insignificant po yung result na maidudulot. Ay, wait. So, patients who defer further workup. So, sabihin natin, isa po kayong tao na ayaw talaga mag-further workup kahit na may clinical indication na may future, kunyari, meron po tayong bukol. Sasabihin ng doktor sa inyo, nanay, tatay, yung bukol na ito, hindi po natin alam kung nakakatakot na cancer siya or benign. Pero kapag nalaman natin na nakakatakot siyang cancer, kailangan po natin or i-recommend ko po sa inyo mag-chemo, mag-surgery, ganyan, mag-radiation. Kapag sabi po ng taong yun na actually, doc, ayoko na talagang magganon or labag po sa akin na magganon pa because of so and so, hindi na natin siya ibabiopsy kasi wala na pong point doon sa proceeding to the next step. So yun po. Some additional considerations is we can use visual displays of data. So ngayon po yung generation natin, very visually driven. So we can use visual displays to improve comprehension for people. You can provide context for decisions in relation to yung competing medical priorities or risks. Sa samut-sari po, 10 po yung problema niya. Siguro, sometimes it's easier to just focus on what is the most pressing issue on hand. And then the third is to create a plan to regularly reevaluate the need to continue the intervention. So in Another way to look at this is we can look at ano ba yung issues na kailangan ma-address, short-term, mid-range, and then long-term. So, for example, for long-term issues, very healthy, 10 plus years pa po yung expectation nila for life, plans to be implemented at the time of eventual decline can be talked about. So, mga ganyan po. So, yung mga mid-range issues, ito po sa gitna, tapos yung mga short-term issues, kung malalapit na po sila sa end of kanilang life, mas palliative care na. So, symptom management, safety, evaluate po natin yung living conditions nila sa bahay, mga ganyan po. Okay, punta na po tayo sa screening. No? So yung screening, I will be listing the top 5 cancer screening recommendations. So galing po ito sa Amerika, yung mga nililista ko po dito. Yung cancer site po is lung. Ang test of choice to screen for lung cancer is low dose CT scan na high resolution. Ang frequency po ay annual. So year on year, every year. Parang ang mahal, no? Pero may qualifiers po siya. Yung sinasabi po in general, kung makikita niyo po yung age ranges, from 55 years old to around 75 to 80 years old, mag-screen daw po tayo annually. Pero kung meron po tayong 30-pack year history of smoking and you have not quit within the past 15 years. Okay? So ibig sabihin po, if you've smoked 1 pack for the last 30 years of your life, tapos last year ka lang nag-quit, pasok na pasok ka. However, if you've smoked 1 pack of cigarettes for the last 30 years or for 30 years of your life, pero nag-quit ka 20 years ago kasi kala nyo, or 24 years ago because the year 2000, you thought that the world was going to end, magbabagong buhay ka na, you are not anymore. Parang basically your risk goes down to the average person. And you are not already in this parang group of people na recommended magpa-annual screen. Okay. Okay, next. So cervical po naman, so yung screening test of choice po ay pap smear. Available naman po sa Quirino, and an HPV test na available din po, no? HPV DNA, para lang po yan yung gene expert, pero iba lang po yung cartridge niya. Test na available din po sa Quirino. So yung frequency po is kung yung pap smear or yun po yung may pupunta kayo sa OB, bubuksan po yung puwerta, tapos yung kukuha po ng sample doon, every 3 years. Ano, yung HPV kasi po, extra step po siya. Tatry po niya i-amplify, dadamihan po niya yung genetic data doon sa makukuha ninyong sample. Tapos, kung yun po yung gagawin ninyo, every 5 years naman, mas mahaba po. So, ang general recommendation ay 21 years old na female hanggang 65-year-old na female. Tapos we discontinue at age 65. So lahat po across the board. Stop na age 65 kung meron po tayong adequate prior screening defined as 3 consecutive negative cytology results, yung PAP, or 2 consecutive negative HPV results. So parang for the last decade, kung nagtetest po kayo regularly at negative naman po yung mga lumalabas and you're already 65 years old, po pwede na pong mag-stop. Next po, for breast cancer. Ang screening test of choice po is mammography. So yung frequency po natin, it depends. Sometimes annual, some studies say biannual. Pero in general, makikita niyo po yung age ranges from 40 to mga 70 years old, no? It changes po kasi. So pwedeng annual, pwedeng biannual, every 2 years or pwedeng every year. So in general, you can see na kapag limited life expectancy, may caveat eh. Kung limited life expectancy, wag na po natin siyang ipo-pursue. Kasi meron pong study ng meta-analysis po ng randomized trials na it takes daw 10.7 years to prevent 1 breast cancer death if you screen 1,000 women. So parang kung kunwari less than 10 years na po yung inyong life expectancy, hindi na po kayo magbe-benefit kumbaga from that screening test. Next po is yung colorectal. So kung colorectal cancer, if you want to screen for that, marami pong types of tests. Yung FOBT or yung FIT, yung sinasubmit po natin yung tae to check for hemoglobin or to check for blood. That is an annual screen. Yung sigmoidoscopy, papasok po yung scope sa puwet, titingnan po doon sa sigmoid part of the colon every 5 years. Or yung colonoscopy, yung buong large intestine po yung titingnan every 10 years. No? So depends po kung ano yung modality of choice to check or to screen for this cancer. In general, again, meron po siyang age range na rin-recommend from 45 to 75. Syempre, if you have history of cancer in your immediate family earlier, pag wala naman, maybe you can start at 50, ganyan. No? So again, individualized po siya. And then after the age of 85, it is generally recommended na hindi na po tayo mag-screen. Okay. For prostate, so marami pong tao na nag-include ng PSA sa kanilang annual test. Yung frequency po kasi for prostate CA's test screening recommendation in the West is 1 to 2 years, every 1 to 2 years. And then, really, it is an individualized decision from between the person involved and the care provider. So mga 50 years old to mga 69 years old, they recommend this. Pero people above the age of 70, hindi na po masyado rin-recommend, hindi na rin-recommend na magpi-PSA because this prostate cancer is one of those cancers that people actually die with and not die from. Ayan po. Okay. Sige. Let's move on po to asymptomatic chronic conditions. So meron po tayong asymptomatic chronic conditions. Take note, asymptomatic po So wala po tayong nafe-feel. So yung chronic conditions po na discuss ko is diabetes, hypertension, and hypercholesterolemia. Okay. Yung diabetes, hypertension, and hypercholesterolemia, mataas na cholesterol, yung treatment po natin dyan, it imposes some immediate risks for the promise also of delayed benefits. So makikita niyo po sa table, didiscuss ko po, ano po ba yung immediate risk, and po yung fourth column, at ano po ba yung time to benefit, ayun po yung first column. Okay. So sa diabetes po, yung intervention na gusto pong gawin ng mga parang gusto nila yung HbA1c 6.5, ganyan, kailangan daw in very intense yung glycemic control. Kung sasabihin po natin sa isang matanda na hindi na kumakain or very poor na po yung appetite niya, na kailangan 6.5%, sa tingin niyo po ba is magiging mabuti or mapapasama sa kanya? So usually po kasi ang nakikita natin is nag-hypoglycemia sila or bumabagsak po yung blood sugar nila kapag very intense or very mas stricto po tayo sa glycemic control, yung sugar control natin. Tapos, ano po yung kapalit? So kapag very strict tayo ngayon, mabilis lang po ba yung benefit? So ang sinasabi po ng mga datos, mga 1 decade to benefit. So if we have been very strict for the last 8 to 15 years, then we can reap the benefits kapag tumagal po ang buhay natin for that long of a time. Secondly, yung hypertension po. So meron po tayong problema pag masyado rin pong strict tayo in the older adult. Yung immediate risk po kasi doon is pwede magkaroon ng orthostatic hypotension. Yun po yung from a seated or lying position, and then tatayo po yung older person, and then mahihilo po siya kasi hindi po kayang mag-compensate yung cardiovascular apparatus niya to the change in position. So ibig sabihin po nun, we run the risk of that person having a fall and having a fracture kasi nahilo siya nung tumayo siya bigla, because we want to chase a number down, which was yung kailangan less than 140/90 kasi yan po yung definition ng high blood. So in studies, marami pong mga tao na nakita nila kapag nag-initiate tayo ng hypertension medication sa isang matanda, ini-increase po niya yung risk of hip fractures in the first 45 days. 45 days, that's 1 month and a half. Nagtataasan po yung risk of hip fractures because of itong orthostatic hypotension nga po. For the benefit, ano yung katumbas? For the benefit naman po of decreasing cardiovascular disease, heart attack, stroke, Pero yung time to benefit of that is in mga 1 to 5 years, no, makukuha. And then lastly po, yung sa cholesterol. So marami pong tao may alam doon sa statin. Ano ba itong statin? Ang immediate risk po niya is yung mga sakit po ng myalgia. So sakit po ng mga muscle, rhabdomyolysis sa muscle din po yan. Tsaka of course, mahal siya. Yung sa benefit naman po, it ranges. So kung kunwari, meron po kayong heart attack, kung nag-start po tayo ng high-dose statin, within 3 months, may benefit. Lumilitaw na po yung benefit. Pero kung hindi po kayo nagka-heart attack, wala po tayong stroke, ano ho, for primary prevention lang talaga siya ng cardiovascular disease, we can reap the benefits at 2.5 years pa down the line with statin use. Okay. So I hope klaro yun. Next, ano tayo? Segue. What are the examples of preventive tools that you can use to maximize quality and quantity of life? Is it hearing and vision testing? Is it immunization, exercise, medication review, or E, all of the above? Okay. So, testmanship, all of the above. All of the above. So, ang immunization po, I will be discussing next. 4 lang po yung i-discuss kong vaccine. So, yung sa pneumococcal, ang sabi po ng PHEX, and saka yung PISMED, yung mga societies po natin ng mga eksperto, ang sinasabi po nila, ang healthy 65-year-old adult will benefit from pneumococcal vaccines. Ito po yung PCV13 at meron na nga pong PCV15 ngayon at yung PPSV23. Ang sabi naman po ng infectious diseases na experts, for adults na 50 years old, so mas bata, no? For adults na 50 years old and above, they will benefit from these pneumococcal vaccines, and then both po yung binibigay, tapos 1 year apart. It helps or it's more beneficial to get the PCV13 first, pero kung walang choice at available po sa health center ay yung PPSV23, then that's fine as well. And then iintay ka ng 1 year and then you get the other kind. Tapos yung may sinasabi na may revaccination yung every 5 years may be done. Medyo misnomer po, no, yung every 5 years na vaccine. Kasi after 65 years of age, na nakakuha ka ng PPSV23, pwede na po tayo mag-stop. No, hindi na po rin na-recommend ng PISMED or ng Infectious Disease Society na every 5 years beyond that age na you keep getting it. No, limited na po yung data natin kung may benefit pa po ba tayo or not. Okay, next po yung influenza. So ito po yung flu. Every year umiiba po. So yung sabi po ng PHEX, Philippine Health Examination Group, ay healthy adults, pregnant women, and elderly na 65 years old and above, ang recommendation po nila is annual influenza vaccination. Okay, so I hope everyone got their flu shot already. Next po, ito po ay timely because di ba may outbreak nga po ng pertussis in the community. So yung sabi po ng PHEX, in healthy adults with a complete primary series, any tetanus toxoid containing vaccine should be given every 10 years. So sa Quirino, I think meron pong recent memo na naglabas. Pwede po tayong pumila sa ating pharmacy for that, for a free Tdap. Ang healthy adult with unknown status or never pa po siya nagkaroon ng Tdap before can complete the primary series with Tdap followed by any tetanus toxoid containing vaccine. And then lastly, yung zoster or yung shingles. So yung PHEX, ang sabi nila, any healthy 60-year-old and above tao, they recommend a herpes zoster vaccine. Mas specific po yung recommendation ng PISMED. Ang sabi po nila, one-time vaccination after age 50 for the RZV or yung recombinant. Tapos yung mga for older people naman po, 60 years old, yung live ZVL, or yun po yung live vaccine. Ngayon po sa Pilipinas, I think nag-phase out na po tayo doon sa ZVL or yung Zostavax. So Shingrix or yun na po yung recombinant one na 2-dose. Yun na po yung available sa atin. More and more. So, next po, yung mga health maintenance that I will be discussing. So, yung health maintenance, nutrition counseling, we have to check po kasi for polypharmacy. Ito po yung mga drugs, 5 or more drugs per person, or any drug na dapat hindi tinitik ng isang tao. Pero hindi ko alam kung bakit. Minsan nakakalusot lang po yung mga drugs na yan sa listahan ng isang matanda. So, yung polypharmacy, check mo po natin ng mga medications that could change our taste or mag-cause po ng anorexia, to monitor our dental health, kung nakikita po ba siya ng dentista every 6 months for cleaning, or kung kailangan na pong palitan yung fit ng pustiso, baka kailangan palitan. To address food insecurity, baka hindi po nakakapunta ng palengke yung matanda, baka pwede po yung mga barangay health workers ay mag-sanib puwersa para po mag-kumolekta ng data on people who have difficulty getting food. Depression can also cause changes in appetite and reducing isolation at meal times kasi food or eating food is a social event. So lots of times kapag meron po akong matandang patient na ayaw kumain, tatanungin ko, how do you eat? And then sasabihin niya, I eat by myself in the room. Wala po akong kaharap kundi yung TV o yung dingding. Sasabihin ko po sa family or sa caregiver, please eat with them. Because meron po tayong reward na nakukuha kapag we socialize or we see other people eating with us. So, avoid unnecessarily restricted diets. For example po, meron po tayong older person na na-admit kahit po may hypertension and diabetes siya, pero hindi na nga po siya kumakain at all. A lot of the time, or most of the time, I put regular diet na instead of low-fat, low-salt. Okay. So ito po for people who are interested, the stuff in the pink box, yan po yung mga tests or tools that you can use to screen for nutrition. Okay, so yung Pinggang Pinoy, I hope everyone kind of is familiar. Every Pinoy's meal should look like this, ang sabi po. So sa isang 9-inch plate, around half of it, nakita nyo naman po, is yung prutas at gulay. And then mga 1/4 ay yung kanin, and then 1/4 ay yung protein. And then marami pong tubig sa tabi. Especially ngayon kasi super duper init. So, ayan. Next po is yung exercise. So, physical activity in the form of 30 minutes or more of moderate intensity. Can talk but not sing. Yan po yung definition ko ng moderate intensity para madali. Kapag sinasabi po kasi nilang moderate to vigorous intensity, napakahirap i-quantify. Ano ba yung moderate na yan? Ano ba yung vigorous na yan? So, pag moderate intensity, kaya niyo magsalita pero hindi po kayo kayang kumanta. 5 days a week. So, ang sasabihin ko po sa older person is, maglakad po kayo, yung medyo konting hingal, pero nakakapagsalita pa, tapos 30 minutes around every day, no, Mondays to Friday. Tapos, we also incorporate flexibility exercises, mga stretching po, and balance to complement itong aerobic exercise. And then, we need to also individualize kung may pain yung person, so knee pain, arthritis, syempre kung meron na po siyang stroke, meron po siyang hemiparesis, kailangan na po nating i-individualize. Kung fall risk, may Parkinson's po yung person, we need to employ other therapists, yung mga people talaga who know what they're doing, no? Para safe po yung exercise ng older person. And then, forever, start low and pace. Start low and pace as needed. So, ito po yung mga pwede nating itanong dito sa pink box. Okay. Break. True or false? I hope people answer this correctly. True or false? Older people just want to be left alone. Okay, meron na tayong mga sagot. Ang answer po is false. False po. Okay, kahit I don't care kung gaano kayo introvert. Older people also require good social support. Okay. Okay, anong po ba tong social connection na sinasabi ko? Kasi yung involvement in integration or connectedness are powerful predictors of mortality. And link po sila to reduce risks of cognitive impairments. So, ang galing pag meron po kayong barkada, less po yung chance na magiging makalimutin kayo. At hindi lang po dahil pwede nila kayong i-remind. Isa na po yun na pwede kayong i-remind ng friend mo. Pero because you have that interaction, gumagalaw po kayo, no? You go out, lumalakwat siya, tapos you use your brain, tapos these social connectedness, these webs in the community are formed. You are protected against depression and anxiety. Both can cause dementia. So depression can be a predictor of dementia. And people who are very anxious can be prone to dementia. So when you have people around you, less na po yung a risk for dementia. Okay, so we have to also identify barriers to interaction. Yung pala, ayaw lang niya makipag-usap kasi hindi niya naiintindihan kung anong sinasabi mo kasi nahihirapan na siya marinig yung words or natatakot po siya na ma-misinterpret pala yung mga sinasabi mo at magmukha siyang hindi marunong kung mali po yung sabihin niya. So rather than speak or rather than converse, I would rather sasabihin ng matanda, ayoko na mag-usap, hindi naman nila ako naiintindihan eh. Kasi hindi ko rin sila naiintindihan. So baka hearing po yung problema, functional or cognitive impairment. Okay. So ito po for people who are interested, what we can use to screen for social connection. Okay, next, depression. Depression. So ito po ay common underdiagnosed and inadequately treated. Sabi ng PHEX, among adults, we suggest screening for depression using this tool, yung PHQ-9, yung Patient Health Questionnaire. It has 9 questions. Pero because, busy clinic, I usually just use the PHQ-2 and then I can screen all of you right now in a few seconds. During the last month, everyone, have you ever been bothered by feeling down, depressed, or hopeless? Pangalawang question, have you ever been bothered by having little interest or pleasure in doing things? So easy, 2-question screener. Number 1, sad ka ba? It's very straightforward. Sad ka ba? Number 2, ayaw mo na magawin yung mga gusto mo dating gawin na nagpapasaya sa'yo. So yun lang. 2 questions. And then kung positive siya on either first or second question, you can move on to the more detailed screening question. Okay. So other areas, sige. Segue. Is it worth it still to stop smoking if you are 80 years old? So marami pong mga tao na matanda na, sasabihin nila, wala naman nangyari sa akin eh. It's been 80 years. Wala naman nangyari sa akin. I don't like to stop. Yeah. So, meron pa rin daw benefit to mortality across all ages, regardless of your age. Okay? So, other areas to screen for tobacco use. We should counsel to stop smoking. Consider po natin ang gum or nicotine patch. Yung mortality benefit po ng smoking cessation ay nakikita pa rin kahit sa mga taong matatanda na nag-decide na mag-stop sila. Kahit 80 years old pa po yan or older. Yung second po, yung alcohol. So nakarinig na po ba kayo ng CAGE questionnaire? Yun po yung cut down. Have you ever felt the need to cut down on drinking? Na-annoy na po ba kayo ever kasi sinabihan kayo na kailangan nyo na mag-stop or nagigilty ba kayo dahil sa pag-iinom? And you need a drink as an eye-opener. So it is associated with falls, yung alcohol use, and it negatively impacts cognition and general health. Yung third po is yung sa medication, as I said kanina, na kailangan po natin i-review yung medication list, interactions, meron po tayong specific drugs. Kung interesado po tayo, may Beers criteria, isa po siyang very lengthy document na nahahanap online that talks about kung ano yung mga dapat i-watch out for na mga gamot sa matatanda. So it includes certain drugs like warfarin, digoxin, mga diabetes medications, hypertension medications, mga pain relievers, yung mga pang-psych na gamot, tsaka yung mga anticholinergic drugs. Napaka-common po ako nakakarinig, Doc, I will give Benadryl kasi hindi ako nakakatulog, or I will use Benadryl, the antihistamine, because hindi po ako nakakatulog. And medyo kumukulo yung dugo ko ng konting-konti, ever so slight. Tumataas din po yung blood pressure ko kapag nakakarinig ako noon. Pero hindi ko pinapakita, of course. Kailangan chill lang. Kasi, yung Benadryl or yung anticholinergic, yung mga first generation na antihistamine drugs, ay nakaka-delirium or nakakaloka po sila ng mga matatanda. So, wag po natin gagamitin ng mga Benadryl po to sleep, ang mga diphenhydramine, ganyan ano, kasi baka the next morning pag nagising na po sila, hindi nyo na po sila makausap. Okay. Yung urinary incontinence, pwede tayong magtanong about presence, severity, kung umaaching kayo or umuubo, meron bang pumupuslit na konting ihe, that's stress incontinence. Baka naman may furosemide either pampaihi, may diuretic po doon sa gamutan nila. We can shift it to a morning dose instead of a night dose para hindi po sila kailangan bumangon sa gabi. We can do a genitourinary exam. Baka mamaya may buwa or baka mamaya mayroon lang pong luslos or prolapse. Tsaka meron po tayong sinasabi na if you cannot poo, you cannot pee, diba? So kung kunwari may constipation din po yung isang matanda, baka yun rin po yung reason kung bakit di sila makaihi or pa sirit-sirit lang po yung ihi nila. So kailangan good bowel movement for good bladder movement as well. For driving, if an older person is still behind the wheel, we reconsider kung kailangan po natin silang advise to not drive anymore, especially kung may vision problems, glaucoma, kung mahirap na po yung reflexes, mahina at mabagal na po yung reflexes nila, at syempre kung hindi po sila nakakaintindi ng direksyon. So we recommend patients with dementia to stop or undergo a formal driving assessment. For elder mistreatment naman po, we have to ask direct questioning about abuse or neglect. Or you have to have a high index of suspicion when you see someone na disheveled. Yan, yung mga parang hindi siya sinuklayan or parang mabaho siya. O parang bakit yung mga pasa niya nasa loob nasa may private area. Or parang bakit may marka ng sinturon. Yan. Or bakit may black eye itong matandang to? Or bakit kapag kasama po niya yung taong to, tahimik lang siya, pero pag wala yung taong yon, madada naman siya. So yung mga ganong subtle clues, will help you decide, baka I need to investigate, do I need to get social work involved? Kasi mistreat na tong older adult na ito. Or even neglect. Lots of people are also neglected at home. Kaya may pressure injuries tayo na nangyayari. Okay. Hearing and vision, we do recommend annually to screen. You ask them to read. May maliit lang po kayong note or text na you read. Pakibasa po. Or you can do a whisper test. Galing po kayo sa likod po ng matanda. Mag-whisper po kayo ng 3 number, tapos sasabihin niyo po, pakiulit po yung 3 binulong ko sa inyo. Kailangan makuha nila yung 3. Yun po yung general, easy bedside screen. Yung cognition, we can do targeted memory testing, yung screening with MMSE. Yun po, yung mga mas technical, no? So, clock drawing, slums, memory impairment screen, ng mga MOCA. Meron na rin po mga Filipino version po nito, so everyone can use it. For gait and balance, super duper easy to do is the tug or get up and go test. So essentially, meron po kayong upuan, you have 3 meters of runway. Sasabihin niyo po sa matanda, Lola, please get up from your chair, walk 3 meters, come back, and sit down. And then ita-time niyo po yun. If it's more than 12 seconds, then you have to assess further. And the next, bone density, we have to screen. Ito yung gold standard pa rin, is a bone densitometry, DEXA or bone scan to screen for osteoporosis. But if you have an incidental finding of compression fracture, yung vertebrae na lumiit na po because of low density, then that is also indicative of osteoporosis. So, bone density screening. Abdominal aortic aneurysms naman po, people recommend a one-time screening ultrasound in men above 65 to 70 with any history of smoking or family history of an abdominal aneurysm requiring repair. And then advanced care planning, yung ACP, discuss and document natin po sana yung preferences, kung meron po siyang living will and designation of a healthcare power of attorney. So I enjoin everyone, please look around your social circle, your family. If there was going to be one person who will speak for you for your best interests. Identify that person. You can put that into writing. You have to sign. Ideally, you notarize it para legal binding ganyan siya. Okay? Okay. Last few slides na lang. I hope I'm still okay. Okay. Last few slides. So, The Lancet, isa po siyang sikat na journal. Gumawa sila ng commission on dementia last 2020. Tapos, they identified 12 risk factors that collectively account for 40% of dementia cases worldwide. So, do you know how many 40% is? That's huge. That's super duper a lot. So, kung magagawa po natin itong mga preventive factors to curb 40% of dementia worldwide, then lots of people will be living longer with better brains. Ano po yun? So it's a nice figure. Ako lang po yung naglagay ng tao dyan. So it's a nice figure here. So ito po yung, kung nakikita niyo po yung gray na road, yun po yung, at makikita niyo sa baba, risk unknown, 60%. So hindi pa po natin alam kung ApoE nga ba talaga, beta amyloid ba. May maraming hypothesis kung bakit po nagkakaroon ng dementia yung isang tao. Vascular changes, kaya ano. May mga proteins na biglang nagfo-fold, tapos nagde-deposit sa iba't ibang parte ng ating brain. So yung risk natin to develop that, 60% of it is still unknown. But the other side, 40% ay potentially modifiable. So ang ganda, di ba? So yung pwede po nating i-modify ay nakasulat na po dito. So sana sa early life, we have lots of education kasi 7% ay nababawasan yung risk kapag marami po tayong education. People with more than 12 years of formal education, specifically. Tapos yung hearing loss, yan po ay pinakamalaki. So makikita niyo po yung mga bilog, yung pinakamalaking circle is hearing loss. So kung meron lang po tayong way to screen all adults for hearing loss, maybe we can prevent 8%. That's huge. 8% of people who will eventually develop dementia. And then ito na po yung traumatic brain injury, yung bugbog po yung ulo. Kasama na po si Manny Pacquiao dyan. Yung hypertension, alcohol na more than 21 units per week, obesity. Dito po sa smoking, depression, social isolation, physical inactivity, air pollution, and diabetes. So nakikita niyo po ba, yung mga sinabi ko kanina about prevention, about screening, about ganyan, lumalabas din siya dito eh. Lumalabas din siya on how to keep our brain healthy. So, hindi po siya separate. Whatever keeps our body healthy is also what keeps our brain healthy. So, gusto ko lang po siya i-summarize dito kung ano yung mga recommendations nila. So, study more, retire later, stay stimulated. Kung kunyari retiree na po kayo, baka you want to pick up another hobby, baka gusto niyo po mag-give back in your community. Protect your ears and your head. Watch your blood pressure, your sugar, and your weight. You have to move. Yan po yung 30 minutes, 5 times a day. Nakakasalita, hindi na nakakakanta. Drink in moderation. Drink alcohol in moderation. Please do not smoke. Huwag na po tayo mag-pick up ng vape. Please. And then maintain good relationships. Please check our mental health because depression and social isolation are really bad things to have, especially in an older adult. Get fresh air, get adequate rest, around 8 hours of sleep per day, and eat a good, well, and balanced meal. Okay, so yan po. As we go through life, hopefully we can prevent a large amount of, or many people who will continue to progress to having dementia. In summary, in preventive medicine, we should understand the patient's values and preferences, overall health and life expectancy, potential harms, benefits, and the expected time to benefit of the intervention. So yun yung pong kanina doon sa pinakita ko pong website na pwede po natin i-compute. Ano po ba yung time to benefit ng itong strategy na to? The benefits of cancer screening are uncertain in older adults due to the lack of inclusion dun sa mga randomized controlled trials, especially for 75 years old and older. So consider offer screening when life expectancy is more than 10 years. treatment of asymptomatic chronic conditions, yung mga hypertension, diabetes, mataas na cholesterol, impose immediate risks and burdens, but they promise delayed benefits. And it should be recognized when life expectancy is more than time to benefit. So yung risk associated with immunization, healthy behavior counseling, and warning against unhealthy behaviors are lower than the benefits, which is why as healthcare workers, barangay healthcare workers, people dealing with people on a daily basis, kailangan natin sabihin again and again, wag po tayong magsasawa about yung immunity, vaccination, healthy behavior, stop smoking, stop drinking, move more, maintain good relationships, ganyan po ano. Because parang wala tayong masyadong talo dyan. Napakadali po niyang gawin. And I'll leave everyone with this, the older Pinoy. Meron po kasing ginawa sila Drs. Cruz and Saito last 2019 dito po sa Aging and Health in the Philippines as an economic research initiative for ASEAN and East Asia. Meron pong silang ginawa parang survey dito po sa buong Pilipinas. No? Sabi po nila, ang older Pinoy are in poor health. Many older Filipinos are in poor health, highly dependent on children, limited access to healthcare, and limited awareness of public health programs. But they continue to have high life satisfaction, are well integrated socially, and place high importance on religion and spirituality. So hindi po nagkukulang yung tao. The Pinoy is, I know it's tossed around a lot, but we believe in God. We are quite resilient as a population. We do have good parang working conditions, diba? Nagtatawanan tayo sa work. Marami po tayong inside jokes among Pinoy. The culture is a very humor forward. Ganyan. The culture is humor forward. So I think that really offsets yung mga bad yung mga poor health or limited access, ganun. Pero syempre, that should not be a reason for why the government and we as healthcare professionals and providers can't give them or can't give our kababayans the healthcare that they deserve. So this is just a lovely picture of Wang Od, Apo Wang Od, last year when she graced the cover of Vogue Philippines magazine as the oldest model for Vogue Philippines, and she was 106 at the time of this taking. So she's 107 years old now. So, age is really just a number, everyone. She is still very sprightly, I hear. Tapos very, very quick-witted pa si Apo Wang Od. So thank you everyone for listening. I hope may napulot po tayo sa discussion today, and I'll be glad to answer questions after.
So thank you, Dr. Borromeo, for that comprehensive presentation. We sure did learn so much on how to maximize the quality and quantity of the lives of the older Filipinos.
So, Aaron, we have several questions from our chat box. Doc Krisha, I'll be reading some of them, ma'am. One of the first few questions was, will there be a point in time for Filipino citizens na ang stress will be the prime cause of their mortality?
Interesting question, and parang may hugot po yung taong nag-submit ng question na yan. Stress. So, anong klaseng stress po ito? Stress sa buhay? May qualifier ba? Or stress, in general stress, emotional, financial stress, physical stress. So I think yes, kasi may term po kasi na tinawag na inflammaging. I'm sure narinig na rin po natin to, na inflammation with aging. And as you are stressed or submitted to stressful factors, syempre po, the body can only tolerate so much. So I think perhaps all of those top 5 or top 10 NCDs, non-communicable diseases, na sinasabi natin, lahat po yan, stress or cellular level of stress is a root cause. So I will not be surprised if maybe if someone were ingenious enough to devise a study that will compare maybe cortisol levels, I don't know, CRP-ESR sa mga random general population, people with lifestyle comorbidities and people with no comorbidities, possibly mako-correlate yun. Pero kasi napaka niya parang feeling ko yes. The answer I feel at the core of it is yes. Pero mahirap lang po siya i-pinpoint because wala po tayong ICD-10 code for stress. Yeah.
Okay, we hope that answers the question from our viewer. Next question, is there a concern on food supplements adding to polypharmacy? We find elderly patients who have multiple maintenance medications but still take supplements just because they saw on TV or heard that they were good on the review.
So dito pa rin po pumapasok because 'di ba sabi ko nga the Pinoy is very culturally close. So dito pumapasok yung isang thing called, ang sabi ng kapitbahay ko ay ... So ang hirap din sa atin na sabihin sa isang older person na mali yan or outright I don't think, kasi honestly no nutritional the supplements, di ba lahat sila no nutritional claims or parang no wala po silang claims because wala po silang study. Pero I also can't say in the same way that I also can't say na I can't say na wala po tayong naipupulot na mabuti sa multivitamins. How I talk to the older adult is different. So this is what I say. I say, ma'am or sir, ang stomach po natin, especially for someone na medyo limited na po rin po yung appetite, ano, ang tiyan po natin ay may limited surface area. Medyo technical, no? Think of it as real estate. So, ang real estate po ng inyong stomach is very, very valuable. Para po siyang square meter ng Makati, no? It's very, very expensive. If we fill it with multivitamins or these purported supplements that will give us, I don't know, health, quote unquote, I'm not sure if it does or not. I'm sure it will just take up space but what I'm sure of is it will take up that valuable real estate space in your stomach. So, ang other ano naman doon is, what if we just use food or nutrition and then we use that as the means to deliver your medication. So you can treat food as medicine and you don't need to shortcut the process by using multivitamins. So someone actually na quite good in their health, in their appetite, hindi po sila restricted in their diet, ganyan, ano, hindi po sila naputulan ng gut, kaya good yung absorption nila, ganyan, mga ganyan. I do point that out pag nakikita ko ang dami na po silang medication tapos multivitamin yung isa doon. I was like, ano po ba talaga yung benefit ng multivitamin na ito? Is it just hurting your wallet? Taking up valuable real estate in your stomach? And then I discussed talaga thoroughly. Maybe we can remove this to save you some money and to kind of simplify yung regimen mo for your medication. So yun po. That's how I talk to them about that.
Ma'am, just a follow-up question regarding po the multivitamins. Kasi minsan, pagka nandun ka, nakaharap mo na yung isang elderly, ibibigay na nila sa inyo yung decision in terms of, sige po, doc, ano po yung ipaprioritize ko sa mga multivitamins na to? So, minsan, doc, parang at that, nahihirapan din yung mga doctors kasi parang each vitamins, parang may mga magkakapare-pareho. So, meron ba, ma'am, specific like what type of multivitamins or type of vitamins na kailangan i-prioritize ang elderly so that our elderly and our medical health workers would also be able to educate our elderly in terms of choosing their vitamins po?
So the vitamins, the specific vitamins that I actually prescribe ay vitamin D, calcium, vitamin B, complex, and vitamin C. So yun po yung generally the bulk of my prescription when I do prescribe vitamins for someone who needs it. So ano ibig sabihin ng who needs it? Kasi I need to qualify. Yung mga vitamin C, vitamin B complex, usually po sila po yung sakitin, very limited on long-term metformin use. Meron po silang malabsorption. Meron po silang vitamin B12 deficiency. They are vegetarians kasi vitamin B12 really is coming from our meat products. They are determined to have low vitamin B12 that can cause also dementia. So some people have forgetfulness or itong mga proprioceptive changes, hindi nila makapa, yung paa nila hindi nila makapa kung paakyat pataas, nahuhulog sila kasi mababa na pala yung vitamin B12 sa kanilang sistema. So I check for vitamin B12 and then if it's deficient, I replete. So yun po. For osteoporosis, vitamin C, for people, nauso to nung COVID, right? Everyone was on vitamin C. So meron kasing studies na if we have vitamin C, it also does increase immunity. And then, meron din po siyang, kapag kumakain tayo ng vitamin C, kapag iinom po tayo ng iron, for example, meron din tayong iron deficiency anemia, tapos umiinom tayo ng iron, pwede rin po kasi niya mas maging bioavailable in an acidic environment, yung iron na yon. So, sometimes people do lump vitamin C, ascorbic acid together with iron. And then, yung sa vitamin D, dog, and calcium, so for people at risk for osteoporosis, or people who have osteoporosis, I do recommend 800 to 1,000 international units of vitamin D per day. If they have the luxury of having a vitamin D panel, then I request for that. And then 1,000 units of vitamin D will increase vitamin D levels by around 20 in 3 months. 20 nanograms, I forget the unit specifically, pico or nanograms, pero will increase it by that amount. So medyo nag-gauge ko po yung amount. So minsan 2,000 units yung binibigay ko, minsan may 5,000 units na binibigay ko based on how deficient yung vitamin D niya. Because if you have vitamin D, not only does it improve muscle health, it also allows for calcium to be reabsorbed by the gut. So, ayun po. Yung calcium naman, for bone health, nail, hair health, ayan po siya. Siyempre, I also check kung wala siyang hypercalcemia. No? Kasi also, before you start people on bisphosphonates or Prolia or mga denosumab injectables, you have to check kung hindi po sila mababa in calcium because those medications can cause decrease in calcium in the body.
Thank you, ma'am. So it's vitamin B, C, D, and calcium, if ever po. Just
Parang
for
ganun na po.
everyone
Parang
to know it.
usually yun po yung mga mas, hindi ako parang, hindi ako na-hurt in my heart kapag sinusulat ko siya down kasi parang, okay, my point.
Ma'am, from Dr. Isis Jacoba, ma'am, hello po. May mga few questions lang po si Doc po. Is it okay to give melatonin? Kasi for her, sometimes she would usually suggest first sleep hygiene or toilet po first. But is it okay po, ma'am, to give melatonin?
I'm a big proponent of sleep hygiene. And sleep hygiene is a lot of things, right? So sleep hygiene is not only making sure that you set the scene. So it's not only making sure that hindi maingay, walang ilaw sa kwarto, maganda po yung temperature, medyo malamig-lamig. Tapos, you can drink a warm glass of milk, you can have a warm body bath, you can have a back rub, you can have aromatherapy, you can have white noise, to help you sleep. Iba-iba't kiliti from iba't ibang tao. And then, make sure that your furosemide, your mga diuretics are not sa gabi para di ka gising ng gising. Make sure that controlled yung BPH mo, yung prostate medications, para hindi rin po kayo gising ng gising. Make sure na hindi ka po mag-gulp ng 1 liter before you sleep, mga ganyan. Wala po tayong bladder stimulants tulad ng coffee, tea, ganyan. At night, yun po yung mga sleep hygiene stuff. And then, try to set an alarm in the morning para you wake up at a specific time in the morning. It doesn't really matter between sleeping at the same time at night and waking up in the same time at the same time in the morning. Between the two, I prioritize waking up at the same time in the morning. Kasi mas doon tayo na re-regulate. So, and then when you wake up at the same time every morning, please expose yourself to sun para po ma-reset yung circadian rhythm ng inyong utak. So, yung sinasabi ko po normally ay sun to the eyeballs. I know it's, not literally look at the sun with your eyeballs. That will make you blind. Pero kailangan po kayo makakita ng araw. Maarawan po tayo, no, sa early morning sun. And then going to melatonin. So yung melatonin, isa po siyang pinoproduce ng ating brain, no, na it will help po set the circadian rhythm of our body. It also has a lot of other purported pleiotropic effects. It was also some time in the past also said to prolong life. I don't know, may ganun na yung melatonin. So may mga ganun ng mga ideas about that molecule. Pero yung melatonin, I do like to give it for people who are really nahihirapan talaga for sleep initiation. So, ang studies po kasi on melatonin, mas malakas po siya, not in older adults with insomnia or sleep behavior disorders. Ang pinakamalakas na data sa kanya ay for shift workers, for people with the midnight shift, for residents na midnight shift, ganyan. And for people na jet lagged. So, yun po yung pinakamalakas na data when it comes to melatonin. Not so much for elderly, pero parang we extrapolate. Tapos, how do I start? 3 mg capsule or tab, what have you. And then I can go up to 10. Kasi sometimes it comes in 3 mg, it comes in 5 mg. So sasabihin ko sa kanya, 3 mg ka muna, nanay. After a week or 2, you can double it. Assuming po na lahat ng sleep hygiene practices na cover na natin. Tapos after another week or 2 and it's really, you can't really sleep, maybe we can do 3 tabs or 9, or even it comes in a 5 mg tab. Now there are 10 milligram tablets or capsules of melatonin available. Pwede po yun. So very safe yung drug. The risk profile is good. And when studies have, dati kasi may fear na baka mag-increase yung bleeding risk with melatonin, especially if for people taking yung mga antiplatelet, aspirin, and clopidogrel. Pero largely negative naman po yung risk for extra bleeding. So I like it as a parang soft drug for people who have trouble initiating sleep. Yung sleep in the middle of the night and then parang medyo yung nagising ka bigla and then nahihirapan ka ulit matulog, yun yung hindi niya naigagawa masyado. Yung you retain that length of time. Pero when you initiate melatonin, at the very least, it helps you fall asleep at night.
Another question from Dr. Isis po, regarding DEXA bone scan. She said that she scans for all females above 60 who are at high risk. But is this recommended for all 60-year-old females? And also males daw ba is kailangan din pumaskuhin at the same age po?
Later.
Or later.
So, di ba females, tayo po ay at risk, especially because we have menopause. And so people who do not have estrogen, we don't have that bone protective factor anymore. People who have surgical menopause, tabiso, ganyan, natanggalan na ng matres, pati na rin po yung mga ovaryo for whatever reason. Ayan, surgical menopause. So you remove estrogen, the bones suffer. So that's why girls, sadly, are more prone to osteoporosis. Yung sa DEXA scan for all females above 60 who are high risk, but this is recommended for all 60. I really do recommend. I think na it's really underutilized, the bone densitometry scan. Maybe also because konti lang siya. Like even in Quirino, we don't have bone densitometry available. We have to go to East Avenue pa. So yung mga ganyan, I do recommend for people who can get to a facility, 60 years old and above. For males, different po yung recommendations for some societies, pero generally an older male, so 70 years old, someone who has risk for osteoporosis, yung people with fragility fractures, for sure, kasi osteoporosis na yun, you don't even need to screen anymore a fragility fracture or falling and then fracturing from a standing height, and then you break a bone, especially yung mga long bones, or your hip, check, osteoporosis. And then people who have been exposed to long-term steroids, check, high risk. People who have rheumatoid arthritis, yan, taken, I think, over-the-counter medication like OCPs, family history of osteoporosis. Makikita po yan yung sa FRAX. So kung pumunta po kayo sa FRAX website, meron po tayong Philippines tab doon. And then you can plug in your data and then meron po dong option for DEXA result or walang DEXA result. And then it will spit out this value of risk. So yung general rule or general dictum ay for someone with a 20% or higher risk for a longitude for a like a appendicular fracture, that's high risk. We should start them on bisphosphonates, and then 3% for any major osteoporotic fracture and above, that's also high risk. Start them on a bisphosphonate. So 3% major osteoporotic fracture, and then 20% for appendicular fracture, start meds. But I think there's more recent data from Dr. Yu and Julie Yu, na siya po yung parang head ng research that challenges the validity of that 3 and 20%. And she presented data and studies from UST na actually less yung cutoffs. So it's actually, if anyone's interested to do a study on DEXA and to validate that recommendation, yung 3 and 20%, it's a good study to try and kind of do. Julie Yu, check for her study. Ayun po. Ayun po.
Sabi din po, Doc.
Meron sorry.
Sabi ni Doc Isis po, meron daw pong DEXA bone scan sa East Ave and Heart Center po.
Ayan.
Sorry, ma'am. You were saying, ma'am.
So for everyone who wants East Ave and Heart Center, please go. So I was saying also, at home, and then what you can do is you ask your family member, you ask your lola, your parents, did you shrink 2 inches? Did you shrink 2 inches? And if they did, please let them have a scan. Please let them also maybe, as if you don't have DEXA in your area, please just let them have a spine X-ray, yung APL. Tapos tingnan natin kasi minsan nakahagip yung compression fracture. Tapos compression fracture, na rin po siya, diagnostic na rin po siya for yun yung mga silent fractures for osteoporosis. So start na. Start meds.
One question po. Meron din po bang mga government health facilities that will cater senior citizens for free cancer screening, specifically sa 5 cancers na discussed po?
Government health centers. So ang hirap sabihin sa buong Pilipinas, no? Kasi hindi ako DOH, head or bigwig. Pero I think in the family medicine, if malakas po yung family medicine program ng inyong locality, I think they should have some screening programs for you. Sa PHEX kasi, for universal healthcare po kasi, that's why gumagawa ng guidelines like PHEX, Philippine Health Examination, in preparation to roll out all of these things, diba? So, ang PHEX says na screen for this, and this, at these ages, lalala. Siyempre, ang hirap sabihin na lahat ng health centers and lahat ng mga primary or secondary hospitals have these things like FOBT, maybe, parang madali lang, pero sigmoidoscopy or colonoscopy, parang kailangan meron GI na marunong gumawa niyan sa inyo. Or yung high-resolution CT scan for lung cancer screen, parang kailangan maganda yung machine. Tapos yung, meron recent Harvard study na nagpadala sila ng free pap smear HPV DNA testing sa kits sa Pilipinas, and select facilities were tapped to participate in that study. So sa ngayon, parang we are on the receiving end of generous first world, like, diba, yung sa TB, tsaka dun sa HIV, itong pap smear na to, parang basically they think that, oh, this poor country, they need our help. So here's some screening stuff. So parang because of that, I can surmise na hindi pa siya ganon ka-widespread. Kasi nakikita pa ng international community na kailangan nilang mag-step in to help. So, can we ask? Kayo po yung, for whoever is interested to do the screening, you just ask. No, there's no cost. Tanungin niyo po yung local health center ninyo or yung local regional hospital ninyo. Do you have FOBT? Do you have pap smear? I'm sure OB, kahit OB lang, yung pap smear na every 3 years, that's pretty easy to do. Pap smear, and then the breast, yung mammography po, or kahit nyo po gawin on yourself yung breast screening for breast cancer, kapain yung mga suso, and then for colorectal, maybe the FOBT na po yung pinaka-available. High resolution CT, sabi ni Doc Isis, is expensive. High research, so high resolution CT is expensive. Meron bang option for low resource settings? CT scan, I think. The low resolution, that's the next best thing. The next best thing is siguro an X-ray. Pero an X-ray will only detect probably 3 cm and above na, mga nodules na, hindi na yung sub-centimeter ones. So, high index of suspicion, 30-pack your history has not quit in the last 15 years. High index of suspicion. And then we screen for those things with a CT scan kahit hindi high resolution, kasi yung high resolution mas maliliit yung cuts niya, di ba? Mas maliliit yung slice. So you can detect sub-centimeter nodules. Pero I guess the next best thing is 1 centimeter nodules. And then the next best thing is an X-ray for those 3 centimeter ones. And then, I don't know kasi ang hirap, no? Ang hirap magsalita sa low resource setting kasi hindi rin siya homogeneous. So those are the things that I like to also ask people to just be in mind. Sana po ba in your municipality or in your locality, where is the nearest CT scan that you can send your patients to for this screening modalities? Ayun po.
Maybe we could have last 2 questions, ma'am. May isa akong nakita dito, ma'am. Very simple, actually. The question is, what are the health benefits of fish oil to elders?
Fish oil. Dr. Jacoba will be the best person to ask. Dr. Jacoba? Pero fish oil, so ano po siya, no? Parang more of the cholesterol, people who have dyslipidemia, diba? You want to improve HDL, lower LDL. I'm sure that meron siyang specific fish oil lang eh. Not all fish oil. No benefit, especially in mix. Okay. So she has spoken. Dr. Jacoba said, really no benefit of fish oil. So ma'am, whoever asked that question, or sir, i-recalibrate natin yung medication list natin of fish oil. Ayan. DHA and EHA kasi ang meron tayo sa Philippines. Okay. Sige po. So parang hindi po siya masyadong identified as a good supplement for people who are trying to prevent heart attack or prevent stroke. Better just to go to the gym, physical exercise, stop smoking, lessen the salt and the fat in your diet, make sure the diabetes is controlled. Ganon. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah. Meron po akong nakitang question, ma'am, but I'll tie it up with my own question kasi I heard you very recently talk about ageism, and someone asked po about, is it normal na sa isang elderly ingalin pag konting lakad lang? So I think one of the questions that popped into my mind nung nabasa ko yung question na yun is, ano po yung role natin sa community in terms of ageism, and how do we avoid the stereotype po? sa mga elderly natin?
So thank you, Grace, for that question. I think na laganap yung ageism sa komunidad. And ano po siya? Ano po ba yung, unang-una, ano po ba yung ageism? So ageism is a discrimination of someone based on their age. It can be as simple as, hindi nyo na po yan kayang gawin, let me do that for you kasi X age ka na. Or hindi na po yan kaya ni mami, matanda na yan eh. Diba? Oo. And then, kasi aakuin na lang natin in the guise of, I want to help. Pero really, in my mind, or in the mind of that speaker, na-lump na niya yung taong yun as someone incapable because of their age. So in my mind, and I think this is also a personal advocacy of mine, that we need to challenge kung ano po ba yung thinking natin of what an older adult should look like or how they should act. So ang sinasabi po ng question giver kanina na, is it normal for someone na hingalin after a few meters kahit na matanda sila? Hindi. Hindi po siya normal. They need to be assessed. Baka meron na po siyang sakit sa puso, baka may arthritis, baka meron na po siyang paghihilo, baka may anemia po siya, kaya siya hingalin. Baka po siya nahihilo, baka may vertigo, baka may ear problem din po siya. Baka meron po siyang lung problem, baka asthmatic or may COPD po siya, kaya siya hingalin. So hindi po siya blanket na, you're old, this is what you deserve, bye. That I hate that. So people, if you see someone, kahit anong age pa yan, and if you feel na this is not baseline, this is not parang last month they were walking fine and then now they're suddenly like this, please seek a professional consult, go to your health worker, go to the barangay health service, get a blood pressure reading, something, do something. Hindi lang po yung itatabi natin yung concern na yon, because you never know, baka reversible, you never know. And in the end, baka po na dahil we said na, it's normal eh, wala na tayong magagawa at the time na mag-present siya na malala na pala yung sakit to the hospital. So, I'm all for prevention. I'm all for early screening. I'm all for anti-ageism. Please ask us, ask anyone, ask your very friendly barangay health worker, your friendly neighborhood local doctor, yan, anyone. Normal ba to, doc? And then they can run the tests, they can look at that person, listen to their lungs, ganyan, or their heart. And then only when we rule out all of those things, maybe even it's depression. Sometimes kapag wala po tayong mahanap and sasabihin ng older adult na, alam mo, very non-specific yung pain that I feel. I just feel it all over my body. And I don't understand. It's very heavy when I wake up in the morning. Sometimes it's my head. Minsan it's my back. Minsan sa tuhod ko. Sometimes it's just my fingertips. Parang pakalat-kalat yung syndrome of pain. Ang unang iisipin ko po is depression. Because depression also decreases our pain threshold. So, parang marami pong cause kung bakit po pwedeng manghina yung isang matanda. Let us not chalk it up to age. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Kaya siguro din, ma'am, sa ER, parang hirap na hirap din ang mga kamag-anak or the watcher to explain what really happened during the course of the history taking kasi they usually stereotype the elderly. Anyway, ma'am, just to go back to the fish oil, may sinabi lang
Opo.
po si Doc Jacoba po, systemic reviews, it's better to start on a statin, moderate to high risk if secondary prevention on any level. Tapos, ma'am, sorry, just last question po na siguro very, din po, ma'am, important to also address. Does giving donepezil, memantine, and other prescribed drugs for dementia help?
Okay. So dementia does not have a cure, unfortunately. They've been trying to crack it for the last 3 decades. Wala pa pong cure. Kahit billions na po ng dollars yung pinunda nila sa question na ito. So yung donepezil, memantine, other drugs, rivastigmine, those drugs for dementia are not there to reverse dementia. They are there to slow it down. Pero Hindi, doesn't mean that drugs, give them drugs, throw them the drugs, and tapos na yon. So dementia kasi, di ba kanina nakita niyo po yung roadmap to prevention of dementia. Lahat po yung kailangan po i-check. Kasi baka meron po tayong kulang eh. Baka po hearing loss po yung reason kung bakit isolated yung matanda or parang very shelled in na po yung matanda. Baka rin po na may depression, baka rin po na very malnourished yung patient. So all of those things, kaya pag mag-history taking tayo, napakatagal para siyang, para talaga siyang hinalukat mo yung buong buhay niya because dementia is multifactorial. That's why when people addressed yung beta amyloid, hindi niya 100% na stop or na reverse yung dementia because people think that it's not just one molecule that starts the snowballing of this or the cascade of this disease. It's a multitude, it's many factors. So yung dementia, donepezil meds, memantine, it can help, especially also with the behavioral and psychological symptoms. It does not reverse. It can just slow it down. So please, when people are started on this, meron po tayong discussion on that with the patient and the family. Possible po ba bumaba yung age bracket or category ng elderly kasi po parang lakas makananda ng stress? Thanks po. So we can only hope, except dahil po tumatanda yung buong mundo, the opposite is happening. In Japan, 70 na ata ang age of retirement nila. Or people choose not to retire at all because super aging society na po sila. So, kukulang na po yung social structures to support pension because kukonti na lang po yung nasa baba to support them, the working class, to support a huge aging population. So, lots of people, lots of communities are trying to shift the other way. Imbes na bumababa yung category for what it means to be a senior, tumataas po. Tumataas po, opo. So, naging mas matanda na po yung mga nagre-retire. Pero yun nga po, it comes with stress, ano? So, I enjoin everyone, please. Take some time, bathe yourself in nature, walk outside, stop using your phones. Just breathe. Do breathing exercises. Eat. Wag po tayo magpalipas ng gutom. Malipasan ng gutom.
Parang pang everyone po yung
Opo.
Hindi lang pang elderly.
Hindi nga
Thank you,
eh.
ma'am.
Natamaan
Yes
ka
po,
ba
ma'am.
doon, Grace?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And I think that's all for our question, but just an additional, actually, I was also trying to parang share this, that we have malasakit center. So here in Quirino, we do have malasakit centers that could fund some of our imagings po. So yung questions sa HRCT that could actually be done funded by malasakit. And sabi nga ni Doc Vince dito, ma'am, for pap smear, mammogram, PSA, and prostate ultrasound, we can ask assistance from the social service of the hospital. So they have the Gender and Development Fund po, organ.
Okay, thank you, Doc Vince. And Dr. Jacoba also identified yun nga, yung availability of those screening tools locally. Thank you po. Did we miss anything?
So to award and present certificate to be given to our speaker, Dr. Christian Borromeo. We will award the certificate of appreciation to Dr. Krisha May Chua Borromeo for sharing her expertise and knowledge as speaker during the EQUIP, Empowering Healthcare Workers through QMMC's Universal Healthcare Initiative Program, The Art of Aging, Exploring Screening and Preventive Care in the Elderly, held on the 27th of April 2024 at the Green Memorial Medical Center. Headed by our chairman, Dr. Anne Margaret Ang.
Thank you so much po, ma'am.
Thank you everyone for listening, for attending. Sana po nakatulong.
Definitely, ma'am. It's a very productive day po for everyone, for our fellow Kawan, and all of our participants from the different parts of I think not just NCR. Thank you so much. We are grateful for this fruitful discussion. Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you so much po to everyone who participated. We enjoyed the discussion and all of the ideas po and the ideas that we have gained from this series. So I hope everyone have learned a thing or two from this series. So we already have the attendance sheet linked po, so you may already fill it up after the series. So Aaron?
That is it for this month's Equip series, and we will see you all next month for the next installment of our monthly lectures. Good day and God bless to all.
God bless everyone.